The time is 1 o'clock and it's time for the lunchtime news. Coming up on today's show, I'm going to be discussing Manuel Lanzini as it's confirmed that he will leave West Ham United on the 30th of June. And of course, keeping you up to date with all the latest Rice revelations, rumours, views, bids, and everything else related to the Declan Rice transfer. That is coming next, and the place to be is right here on West Ham Official. We'll see you in a minute. Well, there is only one place to start, and it is with the news that we've received within the last hour of Manuel Lanzini's departure from West Ham United. So it does read on the club website then, of course, Lanzini has departed or will depart West Ham. We can confirm that Lanzini will leave the club when his contract expires on the 30th of June. The Argentine midfielder joined the Hammers initially on loan from United Arab Emirates side Al Jazeera in the summer of 2015, making the move permanent in the following year. Over his magnificent 8 seasons in Claret and Blue, Lanzini made 226 appearances in all competitions, scoring 32 goals, twice winning the Club Goal of the Season award for that unforgettable last gasp strike against Spurs in the 2020-21 season, and then of course that brilliant volley and finish away to Crystal Palace in the following campaign. Hammer of the Year runner-up in 2016-17, Lanzini did bravely fight back from a serious knee injury that cost him a place in the Argentina World Cup final squad in 2018. Of course, he then regained his spot in that Argentine squad, and a bit of a sort of reunion and sort of development of West Ham of Lanzini in a West Ham shirt then began. And I think the word that springs to mind with Manuel Lanzini is not only the passion there, but everything he brought to the football club. He was here for 8 seasons as a player, and all of those memories that we will never forget of him in a West Ham shirt. And if I can see you all putting it into the chat already now. Lanzini, and the first thing I saw it, and I was, I wasn't upset. I saw it and I almost got a little bit emotional because he's been a mainstay in this side. Pretty much the whole time I can, sort of remember myself supporting West Ham. Vivid memories of him linking up with Payet, and then in recent seasons, of course, this season, linking up with the magnificent Lucas Paqueta as well. He's been, he's sort of epitomised everything about West Ham. He's come, we've taken him in. He's been brilliant for the football club, and I think that's reflected really well from the comments that the players and the manager have said about Lanzini, which we will come to very shortly. Let's take some of your comments. Terry Newsham, I hope you are well, sir. Fathead says, was a great player before the injury, and that Tottenham goal goes down in West Ham folklore. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't have put it better. Indeed, it's come out to Lanzini. Oh, what a comeback that was. I still watch the Lanzini go against Spurs to tie it up. Watch it like once a week. Dude's a legend. He is. And he wrote himself down in West Ham history. Honestly, if we could have been in that away end, that would have been absolute mayhem. Absolute mayhem. But instead, Manuel Lanzini sent us all mental through our living rooms, of course, in the breadth of the pandemic. Terry says, as the song goes, he does play the West Ham way, certainly does. Jeremy, wish Manuel Lanzini every success, a pedigree footballer truly in the West Ham mould. Exactly. Yeah, I 100% agree. Goes down as a West Ham legend, says Fathead. Rob Pierce says, great player and servant to mighty Hammers. Lawrence, I hope you are well. Usual suspect, she will. Happy Hammer will be in tears. She will. And it's a sort of poignant and reflecting day in a West Ham shirt, of course, with Lanzini, because I've loved him as a player. I think we all took him in and loved him, and when you put 100% in, you bring that little flair that we expected from him, then you are going to be loved by the fan base. A couple of comments from people still at the club. David Moyes has said, Manu is a fantastic professional, a really good lad, and whichever club he joins, they will have an excellent player on their hands. And he also continued to say, on behalf of the players and coaching staff, I'd like to thank Manu and wish him all the best in the future. He's been a tremendous servant to the football club and a brilliant player for me in my time here as manager. In my first spell, he played a key role in helping us to stay up, and he has always been someone we can rely on. He's had some wonderful memories at West Ham, including that famous equaliser against Tottenham to get us back to 3-3. People still talk about that goal and what that result did to increase the confidence and belief around the club at that time. And I think that's very true as well. It wasn't only the goal in the moment and us going absolutely mental. It was a very pivotal goal in a sort of bringing the fan base and squad back together again after a difficult period, which then went on to be a magnificent season. And I don't think any of us have got a bad word to say about him. And we expected him to leave this summer, perhaps go back to River Plate. Now we're not going to get anything for him, and I think that's right as well. We signed him for I think I got the number here. We signed him for €12 million back on the 1st of July in 2015, I think it was. And we've let him go. We haven't renewed his contract to get some money out of him. We've went, Manuel Lanzini, thank you very much for your service to the football club, and we will let you go on a free. And he will officially leave the club in 14 days' time on the 30th of June. It's now been confirmed, and an outpouring of emotion, joy, and sort of thankfulness has been greeted by the West Ham fan base. Sporting director Mark Noble also added, it has been a privilege to be a teammate, a friend, and a colleague during Manuel's time at West Ham. When he walked through the door at Chedwell Heath as a 21-year-old on loan, I have to be honest, I looked at Manuel and thought he might struggle in the Premier League. 10 minutes later, I saw him in training and thought he's going to be one of the most special players West Ham fans will ever see. That's just giving me goosebumps reading that out. I mean, that's truly exceptional what Mark Noble said there. He didn't think he'd be able to adapt. 10 minutes later, he was convinced by him. And I think that sort of epitomizes and reveals how good Manuel Lanzini actually was in his prime. For the last 8 years, he has given absolutely everything for the football club. It was a true pleasure to play alongside him in West Ham's midfield and to count on him as a great friend during his time here. He has a beautiful family who I've grown to know very well. I can't speak highly enough of Manuel as a player and a person. I told him after he left here as a European champion last week that I will always be here for him and he will always be welcome back by everyone at West Ham United. I think that's brilliant. I think that's special. I think that's the right way to do it as well. For once, West Ham have taken a player in and we've treated him right, and the fan base has, received and given an outpouring of joy and sort of what's the word? Thankfulness to a player of the stature and sort of ability of Manuel Lanzini as well, because and I think the song puts it just right. Oh no, we've lost a wicket, have we? It's 124 for 3. We were cruising well in true England Bazball fashion. Zach Crawley comes out, smothers it through the covers in the first ball, but that's getting into cricket. We're here to talk about West Ham. Let's take some more of your comments. Fathead says, I found out every West Ham and Spurs fan on my road when that goal went in. It was special. It was special. Covered by Cat says, word is Messi has a Lanzini shirt at the centre of his shirt collection. Well, Argentinian, that wouldn't surprise me at all. My favourite player since he came here, but will never get a run under Moyes. Thank you for the memories. Manuel, the goal against Spuds, the man is a legend. Terry says, even though we had a fair idea he was off, it is still a sad reality when it hits. Yeah, I had that feeling as well when I saw the news about an hour ago. Welcome to Besiktas. Will that be the place where Manuel Lanzini ends up? I don't know. Will he go back to River Plate, where he started his footballing career? I'm not so sure. Crawley went on the last ball, did he? Gutting. 124 for 3, whatever that means. Gutted. He has been a great signing for us, a superb servant to the club. And as the song goes, it ain't nobody like Lanzini. He does play the West Ham way. Moving on then, the next piece of news in the West Ham world in the moment involves Declan Rice, of course, and Arsenal's second bid for Declan Rice is expected to be lodged in the coming hours for around £91 million, with an expected £10 million worth of add-ons, which is down to what Arsenal achieve and where he goes and etc. All that sort of stuff, which West Ham won't directly receive straight away, but West Ham are now, of course, over and are after a bidding war. Now, I mean, the first bid was branded embarrassing by top sources at West Ham of around 75 to 80 million pounds put in by put in by Arsenal. Of course, they knew that wasn't going to be expected, and it seems like David Sullivan and West Ham are holding firm in their sort of wants and needs for this Declan Rice transfer. It's been widely regarded and widely reported that David Sullivan is looking for £120 million for our number 41 defensive midfielder, England international Declan Rice, who is now, of course, over with the England squad in Malta, and then will come back. I think they play North Macedonia at Old Trafford in a friendly on Tuesday. So a couple of friendlies now he's involved in for England, so that will sort of sway away attention slightly to that. But Arsenal are still readying bids and getting ready to try and sign their number one main priority, we hear, of the summer transfer window, which is, of course, Declan Rice. They haven't got a brilliant track record, Arsenal. They seem to lose out on their main priority transfer targets. I mean, they missed out on Mudryk in January in the end. That looks like a masterstroke. But, they're a club that are sometimes laughed at in terms of a board perspective, who don't always put the money on the table, haven't got the balls to put the money on the table on complete transfers of a high level like this one of Declan Rice is going to be. And it seems like the word coming out of West Ham is we're hoping that Manchester City are going to come in and going to start a bidding war, maybe with Chelsea, United, maybe a foreign club like Bayern Munich re-entering the race and really starting off a bidding war, because I think it's right, and I think the sort of stance that the club are taking on this is right so far. I can't criticise what we're doing. Sullivan's eyes haven't lit up at £80 million and gone, yeah, we'll have that straight away. He's looked at the bigger picture here, and somebody's obviously told him, and the tactic seems to be here, we're going to wait out. We've got a long summer. Rice has mentioned himself. He's got 2 years left on his contract at West Ham. We all know he's going to leave this summer, but it doesn't matter how long we prolong it out. I've said it from the very beginning. This was never going to be done in the first few days. This was never going to be done with one or two bids. This saga, transfer rumour and deal is going to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks. We're going to stand firm until we get the money that we absolutely want, the money we absolutely deserve, because we don't necessarily need the money. We don't know what approach David Moyes and Sullivan is going to take this summer transfer window. Of course, after spending so much money last summer, will there be a similar amount of money on the table for Moyes to spend? I don't think there will be, but it seems like we are, sort of standing firm and holding to our ground, and waiting for Arsenal to put a serious amount of money on the table. And we're standing defiantly, and we've branded that first Arsenal bid as embarrassing. We're standing up and we're fighting for ourselves. We haven't seen the money and taken it straight away, which some may have expected. And David Sullivan is definitely going to try and squeeze every penny out of this deal he possibly can. Arsenal, we are told here how that first bid was supposed to be £80 million to be paid of around £13 million instalments over 5 or 6 years, which is completely and utterly an embarrassment. So that's why that was instantly rejected. We're expecting this second bid to be instantly rejected as well, as it's nowhere near the mark of the £120 million David Sullivan is looking for there or thereabouts, of course. And the dream would be here, if he is going to leave the club in the summer, which we'd expect him to, is that we are hoping for other clubs to come in, for a bit of a bidding war to commence, and for the sort of valuation and amount of money being put on the table to continue to increase and maybe reach the £120 million bracket that Sullivan is after. And I think we can do that with maybe 2, 3 or 4 clubs entering the bidding war. But at the moment, it seems to be very cool, calm and collected. Sullivan is standing firm with his rejection of the bids that have so far come in from Arsenal. He's not going to let Rice go for something that he feels is not worthy enough of the player that is Declan Rice. And I'm quite happy with the way we're taking this at the moment. I am happy. Let's take some of your comments and see what you guys are saying regarding the Declan Rice rumour then. Just to pick up on Lanzini here, Helen says, did he want to go, or was he pushed out? Would have kept him in the squad as a squad player, but perhaps he wanted a new challenge. I think it's the latter, to be honest, Helen. I could see him wanting a new challenge, to bow out as a West Ham player after 8 years with a European trophy. It doesn't get much better than that. So I can understand him wanting to leave the club. Ruby says, sad day. Good luck to Manuel Lanzini. You deserve better. Rice to Bayern Munich. That would be the sort of good scenario if he was to leave the club. I must stress that enough. I don't want Declan Rice to leave the Football Club by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. If he goes anywhere, I'd love to see him go to Bayern Munich. Unfortunately, sources have confirmed that they don't want to pay the amount of money that we're asking for, and they have sort of taken themselves out of the equation in terms of Declan Rice. But you never know, they may re-enter the fray in the coming weeks. We never know. Terry says, I'd be happier to see him go to Bayern. Don't want to see him in another Premier League shirt, in all honesty. I get that, definitely not Arsenal. If City take him, I go fair enough. If they pay upwards and north of £100 million for him, I'd go, that's fine. That's a good bit of business in the end. We've got the money and we can go and get a replacement in straight away. And I think Robert mentions it here. He says, I agree, but it might leave us less time to get replacements. Now, from what we're hearing from X and other sources, is we seem to be readying replacements, and we seem to have a bit of organisation about us at the moment, which is slightly unusual. We've had murmurings of the Fulham midfielder. I think his name's João Paulinho, and a couple of others have sort of already been linked and rumoured and sort of discussed. We've heard amongst the board meetings. So, of course, Sullivan has not been afraid to say Rice will leave the club this summer, and it looks like they are already looking at replacements. So when that money comes in, it can go straight back out and we can get ourselves a top-level midfielder to try and replace in any means possible our Declan Rice. I thought Bayern pulled out of the race. They have, but you never know, they might come back into it. Usual says, if he goes, I hope West Ham put a buyback clause in. Well, that would be good. Lawrence is off to sell his car to Lucas Paqueta. Ashley says, if Declan goes to City, he could win a good bit of silverware, then come back to us in a few years' time. What a dream scenario that would be. And my issue with Arsenal here is they are undercutting us. We've made it quite clear the amount of money we want. They've undercut us, not by £10 million, by £40 million, which they knew was never going to get accepted. Why they put that bid in is beyond me. I don't know why, because they knew straight away it was rejected, and that's exactly what happened. Rice, it's been widely reported that Rice wants to move to Arsenal. He's happily sort of grounded in London. He doesn't really want to move up north. That wouldn't be his preference. But he's also said he wants to win it all. He wants to win the Premier League. He wants to win the Champions League. All of the major trophies to win. He wants to win them. He's a good enough player to win those, but he doesn't do it at Arsenal. Arsenal now, going into this season, it will be their first time in the Champions League for 7 years. Arsenal aren't a side, they're the biggest bottled jobs in the Premier League history. They were top at Christmas, bottled it. The most amount of days at the top of the Premier League in history, they bottled it. Arsenal do not have the balls. They don't have the minerals to go and win these trophies. Manchester City do. They've just won the treble. If that's not a defiant sort of factor in the sort of equation for personal terms, I don't know what is. I don't see why Declan Rice wants to move to Arsenal. Yes, there's a project there. Fair enough if they won the title this year, but they bottled it and ended the season with a whimper. So that's got to play into Declan Rice's mind. Is he going to do, this is a very, very important moment in his career. It's probably his most difficult and influential decision he'll make in his footballing career so far, right? And he's got to get this decision right, otherwise his career could go drastically downhill. And I fear if he wants to win all those trophies, I just don't think he does that at Arsenal. My personal opinion, get your thoughts into the live chat and comment section down below. Glenn says, have we heard if David Moyes is still the manager? We are expecting Moyes to stay at his post as West Ham manager. Of course, David Warburton left the club yesterday as well. I do want to talk about that in just a second. Nick says, Coach Tuchel with Declan Rice, but hope it will work. Listen, if he goes anywhere, I want him to be Bayern Munich, but they've pulled themselves out of the race. Gary says, 95 million with a player, perhaps Eddie Nketiah would be good. I'm not a fan of Nketiah. Smith Rowe, yes, maybe. If he went to City, Kyle Walker, I'd snap him up. I don't care if he's 33. He is a brilliant fullback. They've got so many players. We are expecting there to be talks and discussions surrounding a player swap. X has confirmed that, that there may be an Eddie Nketiah or a Smith Rowe involved, perhaps coming the other way. And of course, the obvious one that's been reported is if he goes to City, Calvin Phillips is the other one that has been widely discussed as well. So a player swap is definitely not off of the table. It could be money and a player. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on as well. Is it true that Ings is off? I haven't had anything confirmed to me, but it wouldn't surprise me. That's all all I'll say. It would not surprise me at all. Lawrence says, if no one pays the money, then Rice will stay to the winter transfer window, and maybe even next summer as well. It seems like Rice himself has triggered that year extension on his contract by saying in a post-match interview after the cup final win, by saying he's still got 2 years left at West Ham. Arsenal fans saying they hold the cards and we need the money. It's rubbish. We hold the cards here. If we don't want to accept any offer that Arsenal put in, we don't have to. We're not forced to do anything here. Yes, it might result in Rice leaving the club for less money, or in fact nothing in summers to come, but we are in no way, stretch or imagination, being forced to sell Declan Rice here, because he hasn't handed in a transfer request. He said he loves the club. He said, let's wait and see. He looked like an undecided man, whether it's good media training or an undecided man in post-match interviews after the cup final win. I'm not so sure, but there's still just a little bit inside me that thinks he might, and very much might, stay at West Ham. West Ham can have Sane for 50 million. I don't know. Listen, if Bayern Munich come back in, I'd be impressed and excited, to be honest with you. Jeremy says Deck's got to believe he's able to make the difference at Arsenal if he's interested in going there. City, he knows he's going to win trophies. Arsenal, there is a big question mark next to the word trophies, in my opinion. Robert says, Lawrence, that's my option. He may move in January when he sees what other clubs are doing. Maybe. Matt says Rice will go to City this window. Last chance for his dad as agent to cash in before new agent rules in October. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, I knew that his agent, and agents plural, are his family members who were also singing Bubbles in the stadium in Prague. But anyway, I don't know. Will there be that sort of agent's fee that's pushing a deal through here in any capacity? I don't know. There's so many factors that have got to come into play here. This isn't a straight money on the table, sold him, done. This is going to be a very complicated, complex, which could involve player swaps, money, add-ons, installments. We want money and we want it now. Is Arsenal going to give it to us? I don't think they will. Put your thoughts into the comment section down below about all the things I've discussed today. One last thing I want to discuss is Mark Warburton. Now, Mark Warburton came into the club as assistant coach to replace Alan Irvine last summer. Is it a coincidence that we decided to play really, really badly when he was there? Are the shackles now off that are defensive-minded, perhaps, manager, assistant coach, and Mark Warburton has now left through mutual agreement? Will we see the counter-attacking tactics return to West Ham? Will there be any difference at all without Mark Warburton in the football club? I'm not so sure. I don't think it makes any difference at all. I'm not sure what he's done, what he's added to this team, but he's decided at this stage in his career to pursue something more on his own at a more senior level for him, which is fair enough. Thank you very much, Mark Warburton, to whatever you've done to our football club. I'm not sure what it is, but it seemed like a strange appointment, and now he's gone. Who will we get back in? Or could Stuart Pearce return? Who will Moyes look to bring in to be his next right-hand man alongside Kevin Nolan? Someone will have to come in here, because we've lost a lot of backroom staff over the last couple of seasons. So replacements will need to be made this summer. That's another interesting thing to keep an eye on as well. So to recap what we've discussed in today's lunchtime news show, of course, Lanzini has left the club, or will leave on the 30th of June. An outpouring of emotion and gratitude to a player like Manuel Lanzini, who's given everything to this football club over his 8-year tenure, wearing claret and blue. Brilliant screamers of goals, brilliant flair and precision and skill, and we've loved him, and we really have loved him at West Ham, and he will be a player that we will be missed, that will be missed in a West Ham shirt. That goes without saying. And of course, as I've just discussed, the latest on Declan Rice's status as a player at West Ham. Will he go Arsenal? Will he go City? Will he go anywhere else? Who will enter the fray to sign Declan Rice? Only time will tell, of course. The last couple of comments. Marcus says, no to Phillips. He's such a sick note. It said that he said he doesn't want to come to West Ham. Yeah, it's sort of been a big Sam said it the other day that he wouldn't be surprised if Calvin Phillips comes the other way. Yeah, there's a couple of factors that are swaying me away from him, to be honest with you, and those two are the ones you've mentioned there. He's mentioned he doesn't want to come to West Ham, and of course he does get injured on quite a regular basis. That's another turn off, another reason why perhaps we should stay well clear of Calvin Phillips for me. Terry says, Marcus, I won't want someone who doesn't want to be here. I say no to Phillips, and we want a player that could be a mainstay in this midfield. We've got a really, really tricky decision, and we've got to make sure we sign the right midfielder with the amount of money we're going to spend. If we're going to go big and sign a quality player, let's hope he can fit into the system to start with and play well and flourish in a West Ham shirt. And it needs to be a player that doesn't get injured a lot, that needs to play 30 plus games every Premier League season, because that's what Rice has done for the last 3 or 4 seasons. He's been playing every single game in the Premier League, and we need to try and eradicate any big gap, any big miss that Declan Rice is inevitably going to make when he leaves the club this summer. Lots to discuss, lots of things going on. It's been a busy couple of days in terms of West Ham news. I've got one exam left, Food Tech, on Tuesday, and then I am done. And I'll try to bring you these shows on a regular basis, maybe Monday to Friday lunchtime, keeping you up to date with all the rumours, news, views, appointments, whatever. The place to be is right here on West Ham Unofficial. Terry says, will JC be staying at West Ham Unofficial? I can undesiringly and officially confirm that I am going nowhere. I will be continuing. I've just signed another 2-year contract extension at West Ham Unofficial, and I will stay here to give you the content all throughout the summer and of course into next season. Bournemouth away, first game of the season, followed up by Brighton away. Oh no, that's going to be a good game, isn't it? Helen says, we need to keep hold of Paqueta and Bowen with Rice going. That is another key point as well. We need to keep hold of the players if Rice goes. Paqueta and Bowen particularly, they are very good players. We need to make sure that we don't open the floodgates and loads of them go, because we don't really want a big major rebuild. Of course there's going to be a rebuild. Of course we're going to be different next season without our captain Declan Rice there. But if we can fill that gap as effectively and as well as possible, I think that's within the best interests of the football club. Terry says, big transfer rumours coming in from other channels due to high subscriber numbers. I'm staying here. I've committed my future to West Ham Unofficial. And yeah, thanks for all the support on the channel. It's been greatly appreciated, and hopefully we can get our monetization back in the next 2 weeks, because as of right now, I'm here and I'm doing it for free. I'm doing it for the love of all you guys, to keep you up to date. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you very much, Jeremy, and everybody else who's commented and contributed to today's show. Oh, I've talked for 27 minutes straight. This is why I get guests on. Because I ain't got to sit here and talk for so long. But from me, come on, you Irons, and I'll see you soon right here on West Ham Unofficial. Thank you very much, and I'll leave you with Manuel Lanzini, who plays the West Ham way. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.